crypto market has not done much in last couple of days. It is consolidating. However, if you look at how the news narratives are coming out, it does look extremely bullish, and some of these news kind of gives us idea about where things are actually headed and why this really happened, right? We've been watching what SEC was doing towards the Binance, the Coinbase, and now it actually makes a lot of sense looking at who is backing them, right? The BlackRock, the Ripple, the Galaxy, Nasdaq. It kind of makes sense, like, for the existing scenario, you cannot actually list XRP. And right now, you are actually watching things evolve in a different way. They are now saying they have 7 billion in liquid assets. So there was a major drop in November last year. Now they are coming back up. That means narrative is shifting. We are watching how things are moving towards the central bank digital currency area. And we are literally watching government stepping up, making it a little bit more clearer for the entire industry to thrive in their geographical region. So the Japan, the UK, they are actually competing for the crypto infrastructure. You have the Korea, Switzerland, Singapore, all of them making the rules clear, like UAE and other countries, right? Now, things are actually shifting into different area. The institutions, the big banks, they are now preparing to launch this stuff. So here, Hong Kong's largest bank, the HSBC, is about to offer Bitcoin and Ether to its customers. So that's not a small part of it. We are going to watch one by one all these institutions coming in and dropping this asset into that market. On the price action side, we need to actually watch what it's doing, but for sure, it does show us that we are respecting a range of newly found support. So that's on a Bitcoin chart on a daily. Then you look at the Bitcoin dominance, and as Bitcoin dominance climb higher and higher, right now we are close to 52%. So if you actually zoom out, that's the highest we have seen in a long period of time. Now, I remember the time when I was now, as you guys know, I'm always early. While the price was here, 48.26, I told more or less we're going to break higher. We're going to actually go towards the higher range. And some other perspective was in the market saying we're going to get rejected, we're going to go down, and that would actually cause an altcoin market boom. But what we are looking at right now is a couple of possibilities. One, if the trend line is valid, that means we are close to a resistance level. Say if you are saying, okay, I'm conservative and I like to look at it on the standard deviation side of things, then you would say, okay, it can still go up to 60%, close to that level. That means Bitcoin is going to drain more and more money from the altcoin side of things. So what does this mean to XRP, Ether, and where does they land? Are they actually going to 0.4? Are they actually going to 0.35? We will actually break those down here. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Guys, I'm back home after like 12 days of a road trip. And yeah, today was like, a long way, 11 hours, 40 minutes almost to reach here. And I'm so happy even in this 12 days long trip, I was able to make videos for you guys 10 days. 2 days, yeah, was a little bit hard and maybe it's just an excuse, but I still made 10 days out of that. I'm happy. And you guys keep me motivated for a long period of time, and that's really appreciated. So guys, if you're receiving value in this channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. Some of you just forgets that, but if you do that, I'll appreciate it. Now, coming back to the price side of things, look at XRP. We've been following this and saying the same, like we are at a resistance, we're going to get rejected. We did get rejected. Then we had a short-term support level. We broke that particular level here. What does that actually mean? Because once you broke that level, now you are going to retest that. You got the retest here and the price just got rejected from that level. So now from that rejection level, you're going to the downside. First level of primary support is this previous level of resistance turning into a support here. So if the price decides to bounce from that point, that means we are going to get a double bottom. But if I'm to give you my thought process, I think we are going to go a little bit lower. Now, why do I think so? If you actually go on a Heikin Ashi chart, it kind of gives you the narrative like we are in red, we are actually going down, and the MACD is already entering to the downside. So we are actually slowing down. So then we zoom in, look at a 4-hour chart, right? And on a 4-hour chart, we are still making lower lows. So we actually had a range of support, which the RSI was kind of getting supported, but then we broke that level, retested, and we got rejected. So that's this particular range. We broke to the downside, we came back up, retested it, and got rejected. So it's not actually that highly positive right now. But yeah, short-term micro scenario, when you actually go on an hourly chart, it does show you like, okay, we may actually get a short-term bounce, but that will most likely be short-lived. Because the way we are looking at this is like weekly, we are watching that the price can still come down to 0.45. That's the weekly 21-day moving average. We are watching that the daily shows us that we crossed to the downside. We haven't actually crossed back up. And whenever the MACD gets rejected, it tries to cross to the upside and it gets rejected. It's not new. We have actually seen this before. We've actually seen this before. So what does that actually mean in terms of price when that happens? This is what happens. He slows down, and at one point, it does feel like we are making a double bottom. Great. But then that breaks to the downside. So for us, yeah, right now it's just a speculation comparing the history and the ideology with the experience. But we're trying to understand the fact that, okay, if that's true, what are we looking at? This is the range. So that's 0.47. If we break below 0.47, now that's a danger zone, which means you can actually go lower. How much, right? This is your previous level of resistance turned support, which is the strongest one, which we should be retesting most likely. And if that's the case, now what does that mean on the weekly scenario, on a normal chart? That's just coming back towards the previous level of support with the trend. Because we haven't actually put in a higher high and the RSI didn't show us a divergence. We are just following the existing pattern. So as we are getting close to this month's end candle, we are like, okay, we haven't actually done anything, substantial, but look at the MACD. The MACD is showing us we are about to go higher. We are about to go higher. It's just, you need a bit more patience because the issue is here it's on a monthly, right? Because when you actually go back and take a vertical line here and drop it, you actually will watch that by the time we were crossing to the downside, the market actually showed you, no, we are actually bouncing back, neglect the MACD. But what happened? It was a trap. It went back lower, right? So that's one of the primary reason when I'm saying like, okay, even if we see some level of drop towards 0.4, 0.38, that is most likely going to be a trap if you're actually going in, selling to the downside, shorting this asset. Whereas if you think that's a buying opportunity, I would say that's something great to consider because the market usually gives you opportunities and sometimes these opportunities are coming again and again and your bags are already packed and you're really tired of watching these price levels. I'm also on the same page, but the issue is the market is kind of crazy and it doesn't actually want to play according to our will. One of the main stuff we need to understand is those experts in the market have already said this. What? The market can remain irrational longer than we can stay liquid. So it's on us to stay liquid. One, and two, don't take desperate actions. So for example, if you're actually having a fundamental bag of asset, just because you go on the list of crypto and you see some of these random assets are pumping, don't just go dump your fundamental asset and try chasing these green candles. That may not end greatly. Now, if you're so lucky, you may end up making some, but consistently doing the same is not going to be possible. It's going to be super hard and highly risky because those assets which are actually moving crazy at this point are like meme coins or something which you haven't even heard about before. And just because it's pumping today, you're actually trying to enter that area. Don't even think about that. I would say that's the most riskiest thing you can do. Think about this in positive way. You accumulated this asset for a very long period of time. Let it be XRP, let it be XLM, whichever fundamental asset you have, let it be H bar, XDC or any asset, not just in the payment sector, the smart contracts, the metaverse, the AI, whatever you have accumulated, look for what those assets are doing. Say, if you actually take a look at HBAR right now, what you will understand from the market that it is still inside the pattern. It is trying to break higher. We got a rejection. Yes, it's true. But on a daily chart, it does show you like, wait a little bit more because when you go on taking a line chart, it gives you a little bit more clarity, right? It kind of reduces the noise and that kind of suggests you're still about the breakout, right? So once we take the noise out of this, we kind of get some more hope saying, yeah, we're just retesting. We need a little bit more patience to see if we bounce off from this level. And if that happens, now, if you sold at this level and you're buying back, that's perfect. But timing the market just like what we said, it's really hard. Meaning if you're practically doing that every now and then, you're talented. But most likely 99% of the people cannot actually pick the local bottom and the local top. So it's much better to understand the market sentiment. If it's about to drop, fine. Prepare your mind in a way that you understand, okay, the prices are going to come back down, maybe a little lower, maybe a little bit lower than that. So you understand these levels and either now, we have people doing this, right? 10, 20, 30% of XRP or any big assets which they have. And if they think it's going to drop, they would take a small portion out. Maybe 10, maybe 20%. And when it actually comes back down, they actually buy it back. So they increase the bag. We've been watching people doing that. So if that's you trying to increase your XRP bag, that's one approach to actually take. But yeah, agreed. This market is a market with 20,000 assets and you literally don't have an idea like which asset is going to outperform, right? Based on the fundamentals, we try to identify that and we stick with XRP, but we do have a lot of these assets. And if you are actually interested in a lot of these assets and what they are doing right now, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. Now, going back to XRP, say if you actually compare XRP on a 3-day, with respect to, say, Ether, it still suggests to you the fact that we're actually making lower highs. Say, if you actually follow the RSI, it does show you like a trend line formation, which is not actually looking super bullish right now. But if it actually breaks to the downside, say on a 3-day, if the RSI breaks 46 to the downside, it may not actually look good. We may actually see 0.4 or a wick to the downside. Maybe the price can even come close to 0.38. That is the sentiment. Now, if you actually compare the same with Ether, just to understand what the altcoin market is doing, we are actually doing the exact same thing. Just it actually rhymes a little bit different. Because on a 3-day chart, when the MACD actually shows you, I'm going to cross to the upside, usually that suggests something bullish is coming, but you may have to wait a little bit more. Now, what do I mean by that? You come here and look at the candle close to the downside, and what you're watching on that 3-day is the price trying to make you think that it's going to the other direction, right? Was crossing to the downside, but at the same time, the price action was showing, no, I'm going up, right? So that short-term volatility can be a factor which is happening right now in the market. And if that is true, now what's going to happen is this is going to stay alive as a breakout. It's going to just be a retest and bounce. So on a daily chart, I would look something like this. If you actually move it into a line chart, this is what you're looking at, right? If you actually drop a little bit further, you come lower to this level, that's completely fine. That is a bullish thought process. Now, yeah, you can actually go on a weekly, that's the macro viewpoint, and you can actually look at this and say like, we have actually crossed to the downside. We haven't yet crossed back to the upside. Whereas in Bitcoin, we actually saw that the MACD crossed to the downside, but immediately it went back up and it crossed to the upside. So if the same is to repeat on Ether side of things, we can actually see a bounce. But right now, we don't have a confirmation. That's why we are following each assets individually to actually see and understand what they are doing and what's possible. So for the general side of the altcoins, yeah, if we break this right now, creating another higher high, maybe you can actually go directly on a 4-hour chart. Let's just stick with like the formation. If you actually see the price forming, like you actually got a lower high compared to the previous one, then you put in a higher high. So you actually had a lower low, after which you put in a higher low, and then again another higher low. So if you're actually continuing this trend on the short term, you're trying to move higher, right? You're actually trying to put in a new high. But the current trend line which we just drew have to stay there. If that breaks to the downside and you're coming back down, now that means you're actually respecting more like the horizontal levels of this asset. So that would go back to like this. Your resistance turned support looks like this, and you're coming back down to retest that range. Now that again will actually put another level of resistance at the current point. So now we are range bound. But on the macro side of things, nothing has changed. You actually came back up bullish all the way from $900 up to 2,100. And right now you're close to 2,000. You're not close to 1,000. You're close to 2,000. That's 100% above that level. So keeping the mind updated is the hard part, because look at the MACD here. It's showing you I'm going higher. Look at the RSI. Now this is a 3-day chart, right? You need a little bit more patience, but look at this. It is trending to the upside. Each time you come lower, it is getting more and more strength. If you want more validation for that, more understanding with less noise, you can actually go on a 3-day chart. Now, RSI does show you the same picture. You're trending to the upside. If you have time, patience, and you're learning on a regular basis, and you're watching this asset class doing all these crazy things, now you're sitting there and you are waiting to see what the price action does. Maybe in the next couple of weeks, we'll actually get a confirmation, because if this turns out to be a bull flag, say on a 12-hour chart, you may actually see the price action making a bull flag. If we get a bounce back up and a break to the upside, that's bullish. Now you're looking for short-term resistance levels, one here and another one here. If it happens to break to the downside, now we are looking for the first level of support, which would happen to be here, 1750. And then the next level of support comes around 1630. So literally, right now, you're only concerned about this particular pattern. If that breaks higher, that's bullish. If that breaks lower, that's bearish. That's the short-term narrative. Don't make things complex. So guys, if you received value, please do hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're looking for further updates on a lot of these assets, please do look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.